Welcome back to the Pagan Show, and today I have a very special guest, one that I'm very fond of, and it watched as her life has been changed so much, and she's done so many things, both good, bad, otherwise. I mean, when we get towards more a little bit later with her, and as she develops, I plan to read her biography, whether it be an autobiography or a biography, because I think it's fascinating. But today we're going to give you a glimpse into Reverend Ebony Nash, one of the great members of our community. Has done a great deal. You know her maybe for her music. You maybe know her for her wisdom. You may know her for a lot of things. But today we're going to find out about her from the very beginning. Hi, Ebony. Welcome.
Hello, hello. How are you?
Very good.
Good.
And so let's go ahead and get started. So people always ask, how can I join the community? Especially amongst younger people. There's more information than there ever has been. And yet it seems that they're having a harder time finding our community or being part of the community. But how did you join our community? What is it that brought you into the pagan community in the first place?
So I kind of came into, well, I mean, as I've learned over the years in my practice, we never accidentally come across anything. But in my youth at the time, I would say that it was sort of a happenstance, as it were. I grew up in the Pentecostal community, for anybody that knows that. And I never really quite felt all the way at home. I'm sure many can understand what that feels like when you feel like you want to believe in something, or you feel like you have a particular stance on things, and the options around you may not be the most conducive to that growth of your spiritual journey that resonates for you. So um, when I went to college, which I was 19, so I am 43 now. But I was 19 when I went to college in Iowa, and I started just getting online. I didn't really have a whole lot of internet access. We didn't have the greatest internet. We still had dial up, and if anybody remembers that, it's not the fastest. So when I got to school, I got to use internet, and it was just amazing, the things that I could just look up. And I don't remember exactly what it was that I searched, but I put it in the search engine, and which school is what popped up. Just like number 2 or 3 on the list of things, because a couple other things I'd seen before, and I hadn't really felt interested. And so that's just kind of where I started, just with something that because I didn't have money to like go and buy things and try to get into.
Hmm.
So like a big thing that I would suggest for anybody is just, there's a lot of free stuff out there, and yes, you do have to kind of sort through and figure out, but there's a lot of good ways out there for free, even to just figure out what you're interested in, what resonates with you, what you're not quite sure about, or what you want to learn more about. Or if you find something, then you're like, okay, that doesn't really fit me, then that's okay. But you don't end up actually having to spend a bunch of money to try to get that kind of education and access. So that's one of the things that I liked about Witch School, is the fact that there was so much that you could just look and get into without having to spend a bunch of money. Because I think that's can be kind of one of those things that can be difficult, is that everything is just so expensive. Everybody's got their various courses and their various different programs and stuff like that, and it can get super expensive at first. And if all you're trying to do is just like gather information and just kind of just see what's out there, like, it's nice to have things that you don't have to spend a crap ton of money to look up and read and study, and to get yourself started at least.
And so you started with that. You've gotten now your third degree, I
Yes.
believe. Yep, you've gone through the process. Again, not a lot of money was involved, but a lot of time
No.
was. Don't talk about time. Can you talk about the time commitment? Because that's the other side of it.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that is the thing that nobody will tell you, but you really should know. If you are called, if your spirit is called to go down any type of path, whether it's clergy, whether it's not clergy, you need to be prepared to spend time with the the information, letting it resonate in, letting it yourself process. You're going to uncover things about yourself that maybe you didn't realize you needed to work on or didn't realize was something that was cool that you did, that you were interested. There's a lot of things that will come up, and it'll help you to start maturing your spirit and maturing your own process and journey, and molding yourself into who it is that you strive to be, or as I like to say, that deity strives for you to be, you know. And
Right.
so but you got to be willing to put the time in, and it's not at all easy. uh it took me probably 2 years to do my first degree, and it
Hmm.
took me 14 to do my second, and then it took me 3 to do my third. So, like, and it was constant, constant, constant work. Now, the second degree, I took a break, and sometimes you might get overwhelmed, you might get burned out, and you need to take a breather and just kind of like step back. And that's what ended up happening for me. And because you have to recognize at a certain point sometimes where there's so much coming in, and there's so much knowledge, and there's so much change, and there's so much transformation that it really does just almost just overwhelm you to the point where you're just like, I don't want to deal with this. And it's not necessarily that you don't want to do it, but it's allowing yourself that space to be like, okay, I've reached this wall, and I need to either give myself the grace to take that time to understand why am I here, what do I need to do to get myself back where I wanting to go, where I'm feeling like I'm moving forward again. So, like, I took whatever time I needed to do. I stepped away from things for a while. I didn't do anything for a good while, and then it was actually when I was in Danville for the first time in 2019, and you actually were giving a speech about the Paladins at the time. And I honestly do not remember everything that was said, but I just remember how that made me feel. And hadn't felt like that in a while, like that, felt that kind of connection of something where it's
Hmm.
just like it was a spark. And I was like, oh, okay, it's there again. It's like, and so I've been building on that ever since. And so then that's when I finished my second, and then I went on to my third, and here I am.
Well, they say that often. It is not what you say, but how you make people feel that they will remember, and that's good to know. Um, and I believe in service. I have. I spent my life in service. I'm so grateful for it. Um, when I met you, I was impressed. You were a very impressive individual. I didn't realize you were that much younger than me.
Oh.
But so let's go ahead and so you came in, you started joining, and you became something of a super volunteer, especially during COVID. So right after you left Danville, within like 8 months after that,
Yeah,
right?
it was literally Danville happened, and then I think it might have been a couple of months after that, they shut everything
Yeah,
down. And
right.
then, because I had just got this job, and I was like all excited about my job, and I was like, oh, but I want to do this. And then so it was like a spur of the moment thing, because the money just kind of fell together. Because I really
Yeah.
wasn't sure that I was going to be able to do it, but I was like, I've got to try. This is way too close for me not to be able to try, right? So I
Hmm.
did. And then, I'm all happy and gung ho. And then I get back, and then COVID happened. And I'm like, oh boy. But little did I know what that would end up turning into, because it's like, okay, we're all at home, we
Hmm.
can't go anywhere. I has One of my things that I did been so frustrating for me at the time was that I didn't have the time to do these things. I didn't
Hmm.
have time to work on my spirituality. I didn't have time to study more stuff or get involved in the community, et cetera, et cetera. Well, lo and behold, here comes COVID, and we're all stuck at home. So at the time, I was in the Paladins, and one of the things that we were doing was trying to create a network of being able to connect with people without actually having to go anywhere, because we couldn't. We literally
Hmm.
had to stay in our house. And so that's where it started for me anyways. And then I just kept kind of going from there.
Well, let's go ahead and step into that because it was very interesting. Because the witch school structure had already been experimenting for years. I've been on Zoom at the time for years, I mean, Zoom didn't just pop up during COVID.
No,
It
it
grew,
just got really popular at that point.
and they did an amazing job. What they did is they handed it to every school teacher in America. How did Zoom get so popular? They gave it away free to every school teacher in America to continue their classes. And that changed the world forever because Zoom isn't really a recording device. It isn't really a broadcasting device. It's a travel device. It lets you travel to spaces. Zoom
Mhm.
absolutely did that, and we took advantage of it. And you were very involved. We saved events, certain festivals, three mysteries, and pagan puff. That's what I was saying. All were able to go online, and it was ran by the Paladins, pretty much free of charge or for very low fees, whatever it costed us. So money has not been that involved with you in this community, has it? I mean, the request for money. It
You mean personally from me,
yes,
or just like in general?
in in general for you, either one, both.
Um, I will say that I've had a lot of people that have been incredibly helpful.
Hmm.
I'm in a much better position than I used to be able to do more financial things, so it really helps me, to be able to pay that forward, because that's another thing that, drives me to do a lot of community service, is because a lot of people helped me. I mean,
Hmm.
I did my own spiritual work. I did the
Hmm.
work, I did lessons, I did the internal transformation, but I had help. I had a
Hmm.
lot of help, whether it was the materials I needed or the regalia that I might have needed, as just to say, here to get you go, or whatever it was, or just people being willing to listen to me, ramble sometimes. Cause like I was not all the way together when I got started. It did I
No,
was a I was a work in progress, and it was difficult
and
to
you still
talk to.
are. We
I'm
all
still
are.
a work in progress for sure, but I'm a lot easier to talk to than I used to be, and a lot of it is because I was very defensive because of previous things, and so I
Oh, sure.
appreciate a lot of the people that have stuck with me over the years and taken the time to kind of, like, get past that part of me and, still be there so that I could feel more free to actually, like, open up and ask questions, and so that's
So
where. Go ahead.
yeah. So yeah, we're gonna get down to the startling part of her life where everything has changed. She went from being a member and the super volunteer to leadership. And the first place that I would mention is that we did. You were very involved with the music and the thing. It was the Paladins to the Parliament
Ye
fundraiser, which
yes,
sent a
indeed.
lot of paladins. Most people don't know it. The Corellians had 52 people on site, being the largest pagan contingent within the Parliament that year. That was in 2023
Correct.
in Chicago. Also, your group, we raised a money, and you were involved deeply in not only the organization of that, but you've also in other ways have provided tons of music because you have this love of music.
I do.
Uh, can you talk about that a little bit?
I will. I know some people have asked me actually about it because I haven't written a lot in quite a while, which is not because I don't want to, it's just that I was in a period of kind of resetting some things, but, music is definitely something that is still a part of my life. I have loved music for as long as I can remember, listening to my mom sing in the choir, listening to my brother sing, randomly when he's doing stuff, like, he'll tell you he can't sing, but he's really good, and I, started doing electronic music many years ago, uh, actually on a oddly enough. So I learned how to write electronic music starting with, what was it? Was it PlayStation 1? They had the music generator, MTV's music generator. If anybody knows about that, that was my introduction into learning how to write music on, like, some sort of platform. Because just one of my friends had one at their house, and we were just playing around with it, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is fun." So, I kept getting the new version of Music Generator, the MTV's, like, video game.
Hmm.
But you really can write music with it, and it was just samples of different, popular songs of the time, and you could sample the little things together and just mix them all together and just have fun like that. Well, you can't, copyrights, you can't post that. You can't say, "Oh, I wrote this," because you will absolutely get in trouble. So I wanted to find something that I could actually like write my own stuff
Hmm.
with. So I found a program, and I've been doing it ever since. And it's just I love that music can connect in ways that I can't do with language. Not that I don't know how to speak, but sometimes you just can't form the words right. But it's amazing what you can do with sound and what sound can do for healing and others. And it's music is just so beautiful. Like I just don't even know how to explain how beautiful it really is. And so that's one of the things I love the most to probably do is create music. And so with Parliament, one of the things that I had to do was put on what was it, 6 hours? I think it was a 6 hour music block. And it was just I had so much fun with that.
Oh yeah.
I had so much fun because it had all these different artists and they were all different types of artists and the knowledge that many of them would bring about their respective, musical journeys and then just play. It was just so, so cool. And um I actually was sick with COVID during that whole time. Like
Hmm.
I literally got sick with COVID the night before I started to feel the
I
fever.
remember that.
And I'm just like, "Oh, you have got to be kidding me." I'm like, "Really? Right now?" So I'm like, "Okay." And then I get up and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is awful." But I'm like, "I have to do this. I've got to do this." And everybody's like, "Girl, go to bed." And I'm like, "Nope. This is my show. This is music. I have to be there." We got started, and it wasn't until about the end that I actually remembered I was sick. Like, that's how healing music was. For 6 hours, I didn't feel sick until I
I
knew it was time to end, and then it was like, "Oh, here it comes," you know?
Because I remember that, and I remember saying, "Are you okay enough to go on the air?" And you said yes. I said, "Let's go for it." I mean,
I was like, "Let's do it."
I'm a pusher. Like I trust. So one of the things I think you learned fairly quickly is that you trust people where they're at. I know that. So the money raised out there sent people to the parliament. We brought in Rolando from overseas with that money,
Yes, we
who's
did.
now become a great. And you also provided housing to the man who may save the world. His movie's out, Patrick McCollum. You provided
Yes.
housing and food for him.
That was an amazing experience to meet
Hmm.
him. If any of you out there have the wonderful luxury to get to talk to this man, please have that chance because the wisdom that that man has, the experiences that he has seen, talking to him about his friendship with Jane Goodall, for instance, and just the work that she's done alone. Like I knew about her for years. I watched her on various different shows on public television and her entire story. So like I didn't even know that they were connected in that way. So when he started talking, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. But like he's
Hmm.
just if ever there was a man sent on a mission to do the most amazing things with, you know, the groups that you wouldn't expect could come together. It's just if you
Uh,
get a chance to see his film, see it. If you get a chance ever to hear him speak or go and get just to talk to him and like that was what was amazing for me was just having a meal or getting up in the morning, having a cup of coffee and just chatting away before I get out on the day. Like it was great. So like, I'm
uh,
it's off to what he's doing.
if you get a chance to see the movie, it's going around for various shows. It's called The Man Who Saved the World. It's been premiering around the world. Also, you can go back in the archives. We'll be presenting more of the early interviews we did with Pat McCollum. I did it right before this whole trip. We've been doing
Mhm.
that sort of thing. So yeah, Patrick McCollum has been a very interesting sort of person. I'm thinking that you're fortunate. But then something else happened. You started performing at the Parliament and people started to recognize you. You're acting as a paladin. You were also acting as your own person. You attended and did ritual at the Parliament of the World Religions. So your first time going there, and then something happened that changed a lot of perspective in other places. You got the peace drum, which is. Can you explain that a little bit? What the peace
Yes.
drum is? Because that's actually a fascinating part of your story.
that it that is probably one of, if not the most favorite part of Parliament ever.
It should
So,
be.
and people don't know, but I actually got two instruments that year. So,
I
like,
did.
yeah, so I'll tell you about that after I talk about the peace drum. So, because I got that instrument before I went and did some press for that peace drum
Hmm.
session that they had. So, like I was saying, I was at that, and they had a at the end let people, there was had a little card that you could write what peace meant to you, where you were from, your name, and you could stick it in these little slats that were on the drum itself. And my wife was very adamant that I go up there and do that, and I was like, I'm doing press right now. I can't. She's like, I will hold the camera. Go up there. Like she,
Hmm.
so everybody can thank her for this because otherwise I wouldn't have done it. But I'm glad she pushed. So I went up there and I played a little bit, and there's a video running around on Facebook of me doing this from Parliament. And then, didn't think anything of it. It was a great time. We chatted with the group that came
Hmm.
from, I believe they were from Ghana or Uganda. I don't remember exactly. I'd have to ask. But um, this was at the very beginning of Parliament, and Parliament's a week long. So fast forward to the last day, and I'm coming back to the Corellian booth, and everybody's taking everything down, putting stuff away. Um, and one of the guys comes, he's like, I've been looking for you all day. And I'm like, okay, hi, what can I do for you? And so he's just like, he wanted to give me the peace drum. And I'm like, I'm thinking like, maybe there's like some little souvenir or something. Like, I'm not thinking what ends up actually happening, which is
Hmm.
not only did he give me one, because they had two. So they
Hmm.
gave me one, and then they gave another group the other one at
Hmm.
Parliament. I don't remember what group that was off the top of my head. But he gave me the peace drum that I happened to actually be playing in the video. It's the same one. And he's
Hmm.
just like, I would be honored if you would take this. And I'm like, are you serious? And I'm just, so here I come walking back to the booth with this, and they're all looking at me like, did he give you that? And I'm like, yes. And they're like, what? And I'm like, I know. Meanwhile,
Hmm.
nobody knows that I had just gotten an instrument right before, I went and did press for them earlier in the week, which was, anybody knows the wonderful Andrea Joy. She had a beautiful bamboo flute that she had gotten from a fellow person in the path that she knew, um, from the and it had been played at the Grand Canyon and things like that, and she wanted me to have it. So I had gotten that right before I went to do press for this peace drum session. And then at the end of the week, I end up with the peace drum that I had played on earlier in the week. And then so then we're like, "Oh dear Lord, how am I going to get this?" Because I wasn't going all the way back to my house. I was actually going where I am now, which is a whole other story because I was getting married right
Right.
after this. I'm like, I can't take this on the I don't have a way to take this on the bus. Like, what are we going to do? It's 18 pounds. We weighed it when we went. And Brian Ellicott, bless his heart. Oh my God. He's like, happy wedding present. I am going to ship this where you need it to go. You just give me an address, and here it is. He had it insured to get there, and it got there safely. It was waiting for us when we got back, or no, it got there 2 days after we did. But still,
Hmm.
it was
Perfect
just
time.
perfect time, and it was just the most amazing thing to just cap off that whole experience, 'cause I had a wonderful time, and then that was, like, the piece de resistance, at the end of,
Hmm.
like, going home with this beautiful instrument that has been everywhere, played for peace everywhere, all over the globe, and it came from Africa directly, was made by the guy that gave it to me from materials that he had around from the motherland. So it's like literally the most special thing that has ever happened. Short of getting married, that is the most special thing that has
Well,
ever happened.
we understand that personal things like births and
Right,
marriages
right,
are
right.
another
That
class,
was just like
but
that was like, woo! But when it comes
from
to us,
your professional side.
Oh my god. From a
And you
musical standpoint, that's where it's at right there, like, I've had some pretty great musical moments.
mhm.
That was by far the best thing ever, and I will always cherish that, and I still have it, I still play it, it's still here.
And I suspect it's going to take you on a journey someday.
Oh,
So
yeah.
so now we're past the parliament. We're into life. So where do you stand today? So people don't know. So you started out with this idea of joining wit school out of college, and then you took a couple of years to get your first degree, and then a good period of time to really find out who you are, and then you got second degree. Came to Danville, got your third degree. But where do you stand in the tradition today?
So, today, I am not a paladin anymore,
Hmm.
but I have an order of my own that I just started in November, so I'm working on it's a community service order, it's the Civil Knights. The Order of the Civil Knights is the official name of it, and, so that's been my focus there. Uh, I'm herald for the first director and the first priestess, so that also takes up some of my work. I'm
Yep.
also doing, um for remote, initiations for people who want to get initiated, have all this stuff, but don't have somewhere in person to go, but still want to do it, maybe not by themselves. I offer the remote dedications. I offer those are quarterly. Initiations are on a case by case, that kind of thing. So that's another thing that keeps me busy. Um,
So you keep giving back. So you're now an advisor, Harold, to most of the leadership of it. They turn to you. So you've gone from just basically being interested to being involved on a global basis. You're speaking to world leaders. You're speaking to other community leaders such as Rolando, and we have our beautiful Rain out in South Africa.
oh
We have
yes,
all this. So you're part of a worldwide communication, and your word has now become from not being listened to very much to being heard in this way.
right.
And that's your journey, right?
That is an interesting journey, I have to say, because and that is something that I don't take lightly at all,
Hmm.
because our voices are incredibly influential. Even when we don't think they're influential, they are. And
Hmm.
I think that's one of the things that I've realized the most is that I really I don't know who all listens. So, like, it's important that I make my words count when I
Hmm.
speak, and make my efforts count when I use them, because, like you said, you go from, you know, nobody really knowing who you are, no real idea of what, to say, let alone, who's gonna listen to you, to, like, having so many things to say and so many things to do, and not, having to be like, "Whoa, I gotta slow up a little." But, it is important that I utilize my voice in the best way possible, and that, like I said, everything that comes out of my mouth needs to count, especially in this time, in this day and age. Like, there's
Hmm.
a lot of frivolous speak out there. There's a lot of fluff out there. There's a lot of things that can cloud everything. But like, I make a point. I'm not going to say anything if I don't have something to say. And I'm not going to say stuff if I don't 100% believe in it. What Now, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll figure that out. That's my journey. That's my process. But my intention is always to make it count. And
Progress over perfection.
right. And
Hmm.
so, um, people sometimes are just like, well, you don't get online and do this, and you don't get online and you're not saying what you do, blah, blah, blah. And to a certain degree, I should say more of what I am doing and show more things, perhaps. But honestly, my thought is that I can show you better than I can tell you. I can show you better than I can post it. So but obviously in this day and age with technology, you kind of have to post some things because some people
Hmm.
aren't going to go out there and look. But I'm just trying to do the work. I'm about the work, whatever that looks like. Whatever I can learn from it, however I can grow is and how and inspire others to grow and do better. That's the whole point for me.
So Reverend Ebony just brought up a point that I would like to emphasize with people. Just because you volunteer, just because you move into these sort of places and positions and have gained wisdom and authority does not require you, nor should you be obligated to answer people who only have an interest or who only have uh, that sort of idea that wants their access to you for whatever reason. You are the only one who has right to access of your own time and how you use it. Period. I don't care what anyone says. And you used your time very, very well. But yeah, this idea that we as leaders have a right to have us, be made public or anything. We're not TV stars. We're not. We don't make our living off of that type of attention, nor should you be required it. And if you're not providing the individual with some sort of substance, either emotional, mental, physical, then what are you doing but taking? So be careful of that. I really do believe that. Um, and I think you've done manage it very well because I know you're one of the first people to raise your hands. You've gotten better, but you used to be one of the first people to raise your hands, taking on a lot of work, tons of it, and
I've
then
gotten better, but yeah, no, I'm still a work in progress. Still a
yeah,
work in progress,
we all are. And so
but
that
I got better.
and now you've built yourself into it. So what's next for you? Do you have any plans, any hopes, any wishes?
So next for me, well, I like I said, I've recently just started my new cooking job at the local university here. So my
Congratulations.
thank you. I'm enjoying it very much. I love my job. So I'll be doing that, but I'll be going to Lustration in Nashville. So that's coming up in a few months. So I'll be doing that.
April 16th and 17th of 2026. Please sign up now.
Indeed. And working on the outer court manual will
Hmm.
be another goal of mine this year. Yeah, just
That's a big one.
yeah, yeah, that was a
Um,
big one. I thank you, Jason, for trusting me with that. Because I had actually gotten you will recognize this. Hold on. Have you seen one of these in a minute?
oh, sure. I've got one in the
What?
locker for our future
Yeah. So like,
library.
well, I had never seen like one of the spiral ones before. So I got this as a Yule gift this year from one of my friends, I believe, who was it? Ed Carr, Reverend Ed
Okay.
Carr sent me this. And I was reading it and I was just like, man, it's been a long time since anybody really like kind of did anything with it. And I was just curious if there was like a new one on the horizon or something. So I talked to Jason.
Yeah.
I was like, well, if no one's gonna do it, can I? And he's just like, oh yeah, go ahead. I'm like, sweet. So
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah,
goal.
there is. There's a pocket book that they put out that you can download,
Yep, the Corellian pocketbook.
CorellianChurch.com. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
that's
sure did.
free. But no, an outer court book would be great. I mean, uh, it's one of the things that as we got caught up the first, second, and third degrees. I mean, because Wichita's 25 years old this year.
Yeah.
That's yeah, so that's quite a thing, and we've helped a lot of people. So, but I'm glad it was service for you, and I'm glad that you've kind of created this sort of space and everything else. Um, one last thing. So let me go ahead and let's put in a thing for your lovely wife. She's doing a lot of paintings lately,
So if everyone might know my wife is Bok Bok Choi, if you've ever
right?
seen that on but her name's Abby. Um she is definitely my rock. We've been together almost 16 years now. It'll be 16 years next month, actually. She works in the community around here locally. Well, everybody knows that she gardens. So she gardens
Mhm.
both here at
Yeah.
the house and we donate food to the local food banks and free fridges around past, whatever that we have left over. On top of, she also helps creating a community garden at the local food bank. It's a church as well, so they have a little bit of
Hmm.
a garden area that she helps consult with that. She does a lot of work in the community with food and cooking and making sure people eat and like one thing she's had like somebody donated some hand warmers, so we've been like she'll like go out around town and as it's been really cold, she'll like just put them in places or hand them to people. Like she's just that's her thing. That is just her element, and it's been awesome to see. She hasn't painted in a while, but she's definitely been doing some arts and crafty stuff. I'll let her talk about that one of these days. But
Oh, sure.
she's definitely getting back into the arts and crafts and things like that. But right now, mainly we've been just doing a lot of cooking, a lot of cooking. Making sure people can eat during the holiday season and stuff, or just like when we know things are like low, like end of the month, and we know people are struggling and stuff like that. And food bank has had issues with having enough food sometimes, so we just try to do what we can and stuff like that. A lot of times we'll get food from the food bank, cook it up, and then go take it to free fridges. That was all her doing. That's just been her.
That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
We talk about local, and sometimes and it only goes to prove behind behind some of those leadership is are people who really do local things to help. I mean, and support. So it's never one person.
Oh no.
I know, absolutely. So I'm going to give you the last word. Any advice to people who are just kind of in the same boat you were, kind of thinking, "What do I do? You know, should I do
No.
this?"
As somebody that knows what that likes, if you know me or you see me and you ever have a question, I think one of the biggest things is just having someone that can answer that question.
Mhm.
Maybe you don't have all the answers, but you got someone you can go to that's like, okay, I don't know, but here's where you can go to figure that out. Like, and just know that it's possible to find your way. It's not always the easiest, but it's definitely one of the most rewarding experiences. So you just hang in there and just, trial and error is big. So you're gonna go through some things that you may not you be interested in. It's like, no, I don't like that. No, I don't like that. But you'll find your way. And if you can find someone that you can, occasionally be like, hey, I have a question. Reach out. And I'm happy to be that person. Like people message me all the time. I don't mind. Feel free.
And thank you for your service. I really say it. I do have a great deal of respect.
No, and
Been watching,
likewise. Thank you.
and I'm going to continue bringing leaders this year. As you know, I've made the goal to do 365 days of broadcasting. This is just another one of those, and a thousand things. But we need to get to know more of our community because once we know and can make a connection, we can make a difference.
That's right.
And Ebony is one of the great examples of that. So we'll be back with the Pagan Show, and we'll have more later this year with Ebony as she develops her ideas. And when she needs help, we're going to help her, right, community? All right. So here we go. And thank you, Ebony. Blessings, and
Thanks to you
be
guys.
back.